Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and we are live. Hopefully you guys are ready. It's time. You gotta invest before it's too late. Darkness Ablaze is the next Evolving Skies. Alex confirmed it. He was telling me all about it before we showed up to the stream on time. But before we jump into it, as always, if you want to support the channel, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. Really helps the algorithm. If you're interested in joining the wholesale program, get access to Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and so much more at wholesale prices. You can always ask me questions about it on Discord, but links down in the description below to join that, and then join the Discord if you want to be a part of the community. And as always, Alex's info is also down in the description below if you want to go check his YouTube channel out where he actively posts videos.
And we actually have a legitimate reason why we're late. I had to make that sick-ass thumbnail, guys.
Yes, dude. Yeah, of course, because we've never had a legitimate reason to ever be late. It's always been because I've just been, I'm just taking my sweet time, man. Just rolling out of bed at 11:59, ready to start my computer. Nah, dude, it's time, baby. It's time. We need a Eli Hatless stream for once. Oh, my goodness. Eli Hatless is something you guys don't want to see, man. You just couldn't handle it. I want to see an Alex Hatless stream. Have I seen? Wait, you always wear hats too, Alex, don't you?
Always. I always get hated on for it too. It's great.
Really? You get hated on for wearing a hat?
Not hated on, but like, yeah, I get shit for it.
That's crazy. That's so funny, dude. We should definitely do a stream and coordinate it one of these days where we have just the same outfit on, no hat. I think that'd be actually a funny stream if we did that. But
it says put it backwards at least.
Yeah, right. Oh God, I would. I feel like if I put it backwards, I can just imagine someone creating a thumbnail out of that or something.
Why did I go look at the thumbnail?
Dude, it's fantastic, man. You're not missing out, that's for sure. I mean, let's be real here, guys. Evolving Cries it sucks, man. No one wants it. It's terrible. Worst set of all time. Don't know why. It's overinflated. It's gonna crash. Time to get the Greninja, baby. Get that Greninja money. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, here's one thing that can be said that really can't be disputed, right? I think everyone here can agree. Twilight Masquerade is more fun to open. Like, there's a reason it's called Evolving Cries. It's because it sucks to open that set. I mean, you get destroyed every single time.
Every single time, unless you're me, who's pulled the Moonbreon 4 times in 2 cases. Don't know what I've done to deserve the luck I have, but I got so lucky, dude. I don't understand what it is, but I've literally, I think in total, I've opened 3 or 4 cases of Evolving Skies, and my most commonly pulled Altart is the Moonbreon. I've pulled it 4 times.
What are we talking about? Cases of what?
Evolving Skies.
Of booster boxes?
Oh, yeah, when it first came out.
Dude, that's literally impossible.
Yeah, I've pulled 4 Moonbreons in like...
Out of 12 boxes, that's impossible.
Oh, 100%. It 100% happened. Dude, I don't even know how to explain it. Yeah, it was crazy, bro. It was crazy. I opened it my first booster box. And then I opened it in the last booster box of the same one. And then I opened it, and I opened one in a stream. I got it literally like, I can't remember which pack it was, but it was pretty early on. And then I opened it in another case for myself, and it was also in the last booster box. It was insanely lucky. Like, I don't know how I got so lucky.
I mean, Flower City was talking about Cosmic, a team up not being fun to open either. But, like, Cosmic is definitely more fun because it does have that character gallery, whatever they call it. So at least you have, like, more hits that you get because you do have kind of like the trainer gallery, illustration type rarity in there. So you do get more hits. But, yeah, I mean... Gosh, I opened a Unified Minds box this last week on the channel, and it's the same thing. It's like, I think we had like 6 or 7 hits in the entire box. Luckily, one was an alt art and one was a tag team rainbow, so it was not bad. But gosh, it's so hard to go through 36 packs and get like 6 or 7 hits.
Here's the real question. If Evolving was the same price as Twilight, which one would be more fun to open?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I had to put him on the spot like that.
Well, I guess if it was that expensive, we'd have to also say the Greninja would be selling for $1,200-$1,500 in a PSA 10 too, I guess.
No, because both boxes are going for 100 in this situation. Yeah, I can't play that game now, can we?
I mean, obviously, Evolving is a deeper set. It's just no, the hit rate. The hit rate's just it's what makes Scarlet and Violet more fun to open than those earlier Sword and Shield sets. Like once they brought in the trainer galleries, The later sets got more fun to open, and obviously Crown Zenith. But yeah, man, it's just those earlier sets with no trainer gallery. It felt like you would just open into like a dark, endless void and never get anything. So I think that's one of the things Twilight's got going for it.
Here's an important question. How many places have you noticed online right now, like that you can actively go find Twilight booster boxes for sub $100?
I can't. Like
even places like
I checked all the sites you normally would check, not there.
Safari Zone? Not even Safari Zone?
I mean, I feelers out on Instagram. People I know, I asked to ask around for me. All the Discord buy sell trades, Facebook buy sell trade, nothing. Everyone wants 600 plus for their cases, 100 plus for their boxes. It's kind of crazy to see how the set was one of the most hated sets before it got released. Like, oh, no one likes the masks, all that stuff, and now it's become one of the highest flyers in the era so far, as fast as it is.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd be surprised to see if there is a place other than TikTok deals, because let's be real here, that doesn't count, where you can go find it for sub $100. I always say Safari Zone first, just because that's the place that you can usually get it for. But at the end of the day, like, you definitely ask yourself the question, because Twilight's now selling for 110 on TCG Player, so it's moving. And if you look at, I think an even more important thing to say is the special illustration rare values have been holding. Like, that's the craziest thing I would say about this entire thing. Like, some of them have like moved a little bit. Like the Blood Moon Ursaluna was going for 50, and it's slowly started to come down. But like, I don't know. It's weird to see that most of the cards at this point are going either sideways or slightly down, except for obviously like the Greninja and the Carmine that have just been going up.
Yeah, I mean, other than I think maybe 151 Charizard and Paldean Fates Charizard, the Carmine's more expensive than every other top hit in every other set as well. So it's like you have two cards in the same set that are just like blasting off higher than any other set already, and then all the other SIRs are as good or better value than every other set too. And it's kind of wild to see this happen. Now we're seeing things like the Chansey blast off, and obviously the EV's already there. I mean, the set is it's performing very strong for what was supposed to be kind of a lackluster, skip set, right?
Yeah, no, 1000%. I mean, I look at it in regards to multiple things. I mean, obviously, I've made it very clear where my stance is on the masks. People hate me for it, but I still don't care for the masks. But
what happened, guys, is Eli just got so sick of wearing a mask a couple of years ago that he just
Oh, I was like, what? I was wearing a mask. Oh yeah, you heard it here first, Eli.
He got so traumatized from the pandemic times. He just can't like any masked Pokemon.
Yeah, right. Exactly, man. Brings back PTSD, bro. I'm like, they can't control me. No, I just think that the value at this point from the set is being held up by the pull rates 100%. And I think that your more expensive cards are obviously continuing to climb because of the pull rates. And I think that the cards like the Ogerpon, like, I think that those cards would be worth way less if it weren't for the pull rates holding them up, which is, I would say, arguably a good thing, because at the end of the day, like, people want to have value in sets when it comes to them opening. So being able to provide that within a set, I think, is a really good thing, because you always want to have as much value as possible. The one thing I will say that I wish there was more of is I do wish there was some more competitively valuable cards within the set that were worth some value, right? But I mean, you can, I guess, only be happy so much when it comes to trying to pull.
It's a fact. Like, it's not like this isn't up for debate. These are the hardest cards to hit in the entire era. Yeah. They had we looked beforehand to make sure we were right, but they have the same pull rates as Twilight Masquerade or as Temporal Forces, but there's more SIRs. There's one more SIR in Twilight Masquerade, meaning it's actually the most difficult to hit each specific SIR in the entire era so far. So I think people are just realizing that, having that kind of rarity in a set is enough to hold up the card values and the set value.
I guess my thing is like Paradox has Unearth and Vessel, right? Like, that I wish we had one of those type of cards, and it also has Counter Catcher too. Like, having one card that goes for $4, that's an uncommon, and another card that goes for $1.70, that's an uncommon, is super sick. But at the end of the day, I mean, Pokemon is not the same as Magic. There's not like a ton of competitive viability that's known for being in the set. So that's the thing, is it's like, I think that one of the reasons why I love Paldea Evolve so much, and I thought it was fun to open because I opened so much of it, was it had that like mix and mash when the set first came out, where you get the Iono for over $100 and Magikarp was going for 70, and they weren't necessarily easy to hit. Like, there were difficult things to get. But then on top of that, you also had some like amazing uncommon value with the Iono going for like $4 per an Iono. So I think it would be really cool if Pokemon started coming out with sets that did have high scarcity, but then also as well, you could pull those uncommon cards that were going to bring you value. Because at the end of the day, like, if I pulled an Earthen Vessel right now opening Paradox, I'm gonna like literally make my pack value back, or if not two. But at the end of the day, like, no one's opening Paradox in the same way as you are Twilight, because the best hit you can get is a Roaring Moon, which is going for less than $60.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's so here's the thing. Here's kind of my belief about the whole thing. Everyone looks to later Sword and Shield sets and think like, oh, it's because the alt arts are the popular Pokemon and things like that. You might want to go back and look and think, wait, is it the Pokemon or is it the rarity that produced all the value? Because I understand Greninja is a popular Pokemon. We're not going to say it's not. It's not on the level of some of those other ones. It's not on the level of a Charizard, a Lugia, Umbreon, all that. But at the same time, you also have Carmine, you have Perrin, you have Blood Ursaluna. Like, you have a lot of these cards holding high value. And it's not like they're sought after cards. It's just the fact they're rare. Like, people want to chase rarity. And if something's that hard to hit, it keeps the values high. So I think what Pokemon just needs to do, they've kind of figured out the kind of secret sauce, is make things freaking rare. Like, everyone always like refers back to the gold stars and the crystals and shinings. It's like, yeah, because people thirst for that rarity, right? And I think that's what we're finally seeing again. And it might even get more rare from here, but I think as long as we keep going that direction, the species or which Pokemon in that is going to be less and less needed, and it's going to be more about just keeping things rare enough to have people want to open the packs, want to chase the cards.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. Three most important things is the Pokemon, the art design, and the rarity. Those are the three most important things. So I would say that the Pokemon doesn't necessarily make it. I think it's the art design that makes it, and then the like scarcity is what really values it, if that makes sense. Because you could have a Charizard with an amazing art design, but if it's really easy to pull, it's not going to be worth something. But at the end of the day, if it's really that's the interesting thing. The Pokemon slash art design typically determines where it's going to be in the totem pole of the set, but then the actual scarcity of cards within the set determine what the values of the cards within it are going to be worth.
Yeah, because I think you could throw. I mean, I think you could like have everyone get in a room and objectively agree that this is the best Charizard art ever. But if you would have thrown it in Obsidian Flames with those hit rates, I still don't think it would be that valuable.
1000%. Yeah,
it's
that's a totally accurate. But yeah, no, I think I mean, I know for me at least, being in the shop, it sells. I mean, Twilight sells really easily. So we just ordered some more from one of our distros. It's still available on a couple of distros, but it wouldn't surprise me if we start to sell out pretty soon here at Twilight, because it's just a set that's like performing well. People enjoy it. People enjoy chasing it. You might be someone like myself that's not a fan of the masks, but at the end of the day, like, people don't really care about the mask. People care about being able to pull the Eevee or the Ursaluna or the Carmine or the Greninja. And at the end of the day, those cards have value. So there's something that's being chased. And that's what's most important, right? I mean, Obsidian, like, you'll have the kids that come in the shop that want to open Obsidian because they want to pull the Charizard, and it's, one of the cheaper packs we have available. But for the most part, most people are kind of staying away from Obsidian. They don't really care. Most people, I would say, that come into the shop are more interested in like either Paradox, Temporal, or Twilight. Those are kind of the three most popular ones.
Well, dude, I mean, I do pack breaks every single week on my channel, and I have every Scarlet Violet set available. And I usually have a few Sword and Shield sets as well. And then sometimes I'll have a big set, like a XY Sun and Moon. I've had Obsidian available every week. I haven't sold a single pack of it in 2 to 3 weeks now. Not a single pack. Even base set sells packs here and there. Paldea still does very well. Paradox, Temporal, Twilight, all those do very well. Paldean 151, obviously. Obsidian Flames. No
Yeah.
one buying it. No one wants to open it.
Yeah, Paldean Fates does so well locally. Everyone loves the baby shiny sets. It's super fun. Honestly, I know, like, I think Paldean Fates is slept on. And I would probably say that I didn't necessarily hate on the set, but I didn't think it was going to be crazy good. I think that when I first talked about the set, I thought it was like kind of mid. And to be fair, if you compare it to a set like Hidden Fates, it's hard not to think that way because that's kind of what I started off as like my first real like shiny set. I mean, it was kind of the first real shiny set. So it's hard not to compare it to that, right? But I think what makes the set still good is going back to it with like
It's the variety.
the value. Like you
And the
still,
variety.
oh man, that reminds me, dude. On Friday, we had someone come in and they bought one of our booster bundles of Paldean Fates, and they asked me to open one of their packs for them, and I pulled the Mew. Oh, dude, I was freaking out so hard, dude. I was losing my crap. I was like, oh my god, I pulled the Mew in one pack. Like, let's go, dude. Everyone was freaking out. It was sick. So, especially too, because like we have a wall of hits that we're creating in the shop where if you pull like one of the top 5 cards in the set, or if it's one of the more expensive sets, like a card valued over $100, then you get yourself on the wall. So it's a really fun thing that we're trying to do. I want to also incorporate like a concept where like the person who's on the wall the most after like a certain period of time, we also give them like a free elite trainer box or a free something as like kind of like a congratulations, because it's a fun thing, man. Like there are people that will purposely come in because they want to try and get themselves on the wall. Like it's sick, dude. We had someone pull actually I just realized I was that someone. I also pulled the Blastoise for someone in the shop in one pack as well yesterday. Dude, I pulled, okay, so not yesterday, it was Friday. So Friday I pulled 4 SIRs in one day. I opened maybe 7 packs. It was insane. Like, it was crazy how lucky I got. People kept giving me their packs at that point because I just kept pulling so many.
Yes, so.
It was a fun day, dude. A lot of people kept asking me to open packs for them. I enjoyed it. But yeah, no, dude. I think you know we're gonna have Twilight in the shop, and I think it's gonna do really well. It's just a set that's performing really well. Scarcity is just gonna continue it. And
yeah,
I guess
like,
that,
let's obviously like not try to act like, I mean, I know the thumbnail's fun and the title's all fun, but like obviously we're not acting like it's gonna be the next Evolving Skies. No, Greninja won't be the next Moonbryon.
What? We're not, Alex. That's what you told me before stream we were gonna do. Alex, are you changing plans? What are we doing?
I do want to say this.
Trying to pump it. I have 100 cases, Alex. I have 100 cases of this set. What are we doing here?
No, but I do really want to say, like, I honestly, like, I know like a lot of people thought like, oh, there'll never be another Evolving Skies and there'll never be another Moonbryon. I truly think we are going to see an Evolving Skies Moonbryon level set coming. If this level of rarity and scarcity can pump a Greninja, which, you know, obviously it's sought after. People are reminded of Ash's Greninja, things like that. I'm not saying it's like this terrible Pokemon, terrible card. It's great, but it's not top tier, right? And if that card can get pumped this hard and people want it that bad, and it's not a buyout, right? It's a very steady rise. People still ask for it. They open this mass. I think when we do get even harder hit rates in these later sets, if we do, and even more attractive Pokemon, better art and all that, I think we could end up seeing that level of chase and that level of mania again around a set and around Pokemon, especially if, I mean, think about Greninja. Now think if they had like 5, 8 more Pokemon that were sought after in that same set with the same level of rarity. That's where you get to that Evolving Skies level. So I think it's possible. Pokemon can do it. I mean, they got a lot of good ideas coming. Eevee set, Rocket set, that Dragon set. We'll see what happens, but I don't think it's out of the question. I don't think it's a pipe dream.
Here's the real question we have to ask ourselves, right? Because rarity plays a huge factor. I would like to argue that Lapras as a card itself, we don't know, but we're under the assumption there is going to probably be an SIR Lapras in this upcoming set. With that being said, do we think Lapras is a more desirable card as Greninja? I would argue they're probably on around the same level. That's just what I would think.
You think?
100%. Yeah,
I think Greninja's better.
You think Greninja's better, but I also think that comes down to a personal, you know, opinion on the matter, right? Because you did say, you know, you're a big Gen 6 guy, to be fair, too.
No. But what do you mean, dude? Like, I'm original 151. What is a big Lapras card that's ever been before though?
The last one you can think of is going back to WotC era.
Yeah, where there's been other Greninjas.
Right. Well, I guess in my mind, that's the thing, is there hasn't really been a crazy Lapras card.
Well, there's been a Rainbow Rare Lapras, and it
That's
didn't
not really the same though. Like throwing a rainbow, it's kind of like with the rainbow Snorlax from base set. Like it did fine, but it wasn't like crazy. Everyone wanted to pull it. But then if you look at like the shiny Snorlax from Chilling Reign, like completely different like perspective on the value of the card. I would say that like you're probably gonna have more people that are gonna like Greninja just because Gen 1ers are not as prevalent nowadays, and Greninja is a Pokemon that people have been more of a fan of. But I would say that Lapras is a card that hasn't really had like a spotlight in terms of art design. I I wouldn't be surprised if we see the pull rates follow suit with Stellar Crown, and that you can see a Lapras card kind of climb in value if we have the same level of scarcity. That's kind of what I think. That's at least how I look at it.
It's kind of funny. They put Lapras in both the base sets. It was in Sun and Moon base as a Lapras GX Rainbow, and Lapras VMAX as a Rainbow in Sword and Shield base. Kind of funny how I did that. But and then they also had the full art shiny Lapras in the shiny vault in the shiny, and it was that Shining Fates. Yeah. So I mean, they've put Lapras in some sets at high rarities, and it just hasn't.
You said what other set?
Shining Fates as a full art shiny.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I forgot they did that. Yeah, but that's the thing. It wasn't really a memorable shiny. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Shining Fates didn't hit in the same way as Hidden Fates did. Maybe that's at least how I look at it.
Greninja and Zoroark were the alt art, and then you have the Rainbow Greninja, which in Forbidden Light, I think that's the highest hit. Like, let me see. Forbidden Light. No, it's not the highest hit. It's the second highest hit in the entire set is the Rainbow Rare Greninja. So, dude, I just think Greninja's on a different level than we realize. We don't, just because it's not our cup of tea. I think a lot of the community likes Greninja.
Forbidden Light. Well, I've always known Greninja was a popular character, but I don't know. Maybe I'm out of touch, but I always felt like Lapras was a popular character. Was it not?
Think about this too. There's only 7 full art shinies and Hidden Fates above it.
Do people not like
Charizard,
Lapras?
Umbreon, Sylveon.
I thought people liked Lapras. Am I tripping?
Hold on. Charizard, Umbreon, Sylveon, Cynthia, Espeon, Mewtwo, and Leafeon are the only full art shinies ahead of Greninja. I mean, it's the 8 top hit in Hidden Fates. Like, and that's going up against a lot of hard hitters. Like, I think it's just more popular than we realize.
Oh, shiny Greninja's sick though, dude. And I mean, people like black shinies. Black shinies are sick. Greninja is one of the best shinies. I think that's hard to argue. I think black shinies are pretty freaking. I mean, it's literally like it's called Greninja. It's a black, frog ninja. Like that's literally plays in line perfectly with like when you think of a traditional ninja outfit.
It is crazy looking at these sets, like at Shining or a Hidden Fates. Like it beat out Gardevoir, it beat out Lucario, Glaceon, it beat out the birds, Ninetales, like Ho-Oh. Dude, Greninja's up there.
Yeah. I mean, I guess how much the art design is going to play into that then is the real question.
That's all it comes down to.
Yeah. There's been so many Greninjas. That's the thing. It's so weird to think about. There's been so many more Greninja art designs than there has been any of the original 151 card arts. Like, if you really think about it, that's kind of the biggest tragedy of it all. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people just love eating up Greninja, and Greninja's the new Charizard. No, I'm just kidding. It
definitely and Umbreon, dude, they're taking the place.
Low key though, it definitely kind of feels like a little overkill when you have this set that has the Greninja as the main hit, and then you follow it up by having Shrouded Fable, and one of the promo cards is like an SIR Greninja. You're like, all right, cool. We're just getting back Greninjas now. Like, I don't know, kind of boring. I guess for me, in my mind, I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not a 151 shill, but like at the end of the day, and when I say 151, I don't mean the set. I mean like the original 151 Pokemon. But I kind of wish they did more of them. I wish they did more like SIR art designs, because obviously, like, we got a Venusaur and like a Blastoise SIR. That's cool. I'm glad they did that, but like, we never got an Arcanine SIR. I'm hoping to do a Lapras SIR. I would love it if they did more specific SARs from like the first 151 like Pokemon. That's something I feel like they're missing out on, because ultimately at the end of the day, if they made an SIR Arcanine, like I would be interested to see how that performed. I mean, art design is going to be the most important thing. I know a lot of people do like, regardless of the crown, the Greninja art design, because it does look pretty sweet for what it is. So I think that the Lapras card, obviously, Greninja is more popular of a character than Lapras, but I think that Lapras is still something that hasn't really had a chance to shine, and it's going to come down to the art design. And I think if it's a cool art design with low scarcity, I think it could be a card that's of value, and it wouldn't be surprising if you saw Stellar Crown kind of do something.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
I hear you.
I don't know. I mean, we don't also know what's going to be like the main chase in Stellar Crown too. I guess the real question is, let's take Lapras out of the picture, right? Let's just say, for the sake of making it simple, Stellar Crown comes out with their SIRs. One of them is a relatively popular SIR. Do we think that it could follow suit in a way where we could see one card in Stellar Crown go for like $100+ because it follows the same like scarcity train? Because I'm saying, like, I guess more or less that, should we kind of anticipate that going forward, these newer sets, as long as they have the same scarcity, are going to like play the game of having more value cards in them?
I would say no, because I think it has like 6 SIRs. It's like another Obsidian Flames.
Oh, in
So
your mind, because
even if
the
the
lack
pull
of
rates are
like
the same,
SARs?
yes, even if the pull rates are the same as Temporal and Twilight, it's going to be much easier to hit each one, right?
I mean, kind of, I guess. I don't know. But like, you also have a set like, Paldean Fates that has 3 SIRs, and yet all 3 of them are still really expensive. Like, I don't know. At least that's how I look at it. And it's not like they're easy to hit. Like, they're relatively hard SIRs to hit. So
Yeah.
in my mind, sure, obviously it's better if we were to have like 10 or 11 SIRs, but at the end of the day, scarcity.
Yeah, I probably put it. So I put it ahead of the early SIRs, like the Scarlet Violet, Paldea, and Obsidian. Paradox Rift, they up the rates, the pull rates, but it still has and it also has a lot. So maybe somewhere like around a Paradox Rift, like somewhere maybe like around there, maybe a little higher. But I don't think they're gonna hold values like Temporal or Twilight, though. I just don't.
I think if the scarcity of the cards are there, and there's at least some semblance of somewhat desirable cards, I think so. I think so. But maybe that's just because, for me at this point,
Hold on. You keep saying scarcity. Do we know something about them getting short printed?
I mean, we haven't even finished pre-orders. So I should hopefully get that answer in the next couple of weeks, though. We'll definitely know. But yeah, I'm not anticipating that. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me, right? But like, I think that when I look at a set like Temporal Forces, it's not a bad set by any means. It has some cool art designs. It's got the Raging Bolt. But at the end of the day, still within the set Temporal, there's not a single card that's currently over $100, right? And so Twilight's the one that has a card that's over $100, and it's prevalent because of the Greninja, right? And the Carmine. So in my mind, I guess if we have a card that is something close to like the demand of the Greninja, I think it's not too off base to say we could have a card in the $100 price range. And if we don't have a card like that, I could think it could fall in line with Temporal just based off the scarcity levels. Because I think that, like I said before, the card itself is ultimately going to determine where it kind of follows in the hierarchy of like demand within the set, and then the art design is really what's going to see how valuable the card's going to be, and then finishing it off, the scarcity is going to determine the overall value of the set. So if I were to basically say to myself, like, hey, let's make this a set where the scarcity is ridiculous of it, like a perfect example of that is like Champion's Path. Champion's Path is a freaking terrible set. No one cares for Champion's Path. But why is it that the Champion's Path Charizards are way more expensive than the Obsidian Flames
so hard to
Charizards?
pull.
It's so hard to pull, right? And so those cards are still both valued over $100. So in my mind,
same thing with the Blaziken. Like obviously Blaziken doesn't really belong up there with Umbreon and Garatina and Gengar, but it's up there because Chilling Reign has so many alt arts, and therefore it's so difficult to pull that specific alt art. It's like one of the, I mean, you saw Cool Trainer Ryan open thousands of packs, not pull it, and because of that is why it's so valuable.
Yeah, no, and I guess the point that I'm kind of illustrating with that is whether it is saturated set or not, at the end of the day, if you hit it and it's rare, it's going to have its value. And so I think that we could start to see a trend where regardless of the amount of SIRs, you're going to start to see these card values just continue to go up. And we'll just have to see based off the demand. Is this going to be a set that's going to kind of fill in the void, being in between Temporal and Shrouded? Is it going to follow, or not Shrouded, sorry, Twilight? Or is it going to be, here's my prediction, right? And this is kind of what I'm going to say. I think that this set will have cards that are at least around the value of what's in Temporal. I don't think that's crazy to say. I think that at the least, that's what we're going to see just based off of the general pull rates. I think it's possible that we could see some cards in the set have like multi-$100+ cards. I don't think it's that crazy. We don't know what's in it, right? We have to see what's going to be in it, but I think it's entirely possible just purely based off of what we're seeing right now with the general pull rates. And once those cards do get revealed, then it will have a lot clearer of a picture. But anticipate this to be a more popular set just because Scarcity is really playing into the more popular sets at this point within this Scarlet Violet era.
You said multiple $100 cards.
Yeah, I think it's possible. When I say that, I mean, like, I'm not saying that it's a guarantee, but I am saying that, like, Greninja Carmine, that's two $100 cards, right?
Yeah.
So in my mind, if we can see at least two cards that are of like decent demand value, I think it's totally possible we could see two cards be at least $100 in the set. But if we don't see that, then it makes more sense for us to have a card that's worth like $80 to $60, kind of like you're seeing in Temporal. This comes down to the desirability of the cards. But either way, we're looking at this being a set that in my mind, I think is probably going to perform better than Paradox and is going to perform somewhat in the kind of realm of these sets that are just going to have scarcity. I think it's funny to say this, and this might sound weird for me to say it. We haven't begun the second half yet, technically, or I think this actually is going to be the first set of like the second half of like Scarlet and Violet. Regardless, taking that out of like the picture, you know, when you think of second half, you usually think of like, oh, innovative art design, which there is going to be. I look at this set and I say to myself, we're in the second half of pull rates. Like, we had our first half of like really easy to hit cards, and now we're getting harder cards, and now we're seeing how that's coming to fruition with the values of a lot of these cards and what it's doing to Pokemon.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I'm excited. I mean, you know, it's finally coming to like fruition. Like everyone's been waiting for the second half, like saving their money for the second half, waiting for that next level of hit, like we got with alt arts or tag team alt arts, and it's just gonna be fun to see what comes. I don't know, man. Like, what are we seeing? Like, do you want to talk about like the Shrouded Fable and releases, and are we getting short printed, or you want to talk about that at all?
Well, it's it's an interesting thing to say because I've talked to one of my distros, and from what it sounds like, take everything I say with a grain of salt, right? But I actually talked to one of the guys who's in charge of this specific distro for allocations. Like, he's the entire head of the department for the area. And so his entire job is to do allocations based off of like the pool that they get for their stuff. And they said that when comparing it to other specialty sets like Paldean Fates, they got a fifth of what they usually get supply wise. That's what he said, right? You can take that with a grain of salt. I mean, I can tell you for certain that at least within the program that we had to pull ETBs from multiple different distros. So we were able to get everyone what they wanted, but it wasn't something we could fulfill from one distro. Versus Paldean Fates, I literally got all of what we wanted, all like 2,000 ETBs from one distro because of how much supply there was of it. So it is going to be something where you know, I think every single set at this point that people have asked me the question, is it short printed? I've always said no. But this one is an interesting situation where it might be possible to be, you know, the reality of the situation, right? There's been other places that I feel like have usually done like big deals, and I won't name places because I don't want to like get into the crackpot theories, but there is a couple of places that are usually selling product by the cases that people have mentioned, hey, they're not selling it by the case this time, they're selling it by the individual unit. I don't know how much you want to play into that, but for me, I kind of look at it and I say, listen, at the end of the day, whether it's short printed or not, I'm just going to keep playing it the same way and just have people temper their expectations, because the amount of times we've had sets that were quote unquote short printed, and then before you know it, they come out with like another wave of the set or like a follow up of like more supply. It's like, I'm not trying to think too deep into it. So all I know, at least in my mind, is what's also interesting is the demand is different on distros, right? I've got one distro right now that's telling me that like they're completely sold out of all things Shrouded Fable. But then I've got another distro saying, I've got Shrouded Fable on open order. If you want some, you can come get it. So it's like really difficult to say, but that also comes down to pricing too, because that same distro that has more available is charging $8 more for case for like the Greninja and the Kingdra than the other distro. So maybe that's why, because the demand is less on that distro because the prices for their cases are so much more. So it's interesting. There's so many things that people don't take into consideration when it comes to asking that question, because there are many variables. It's not just a finite question of like, is it short printed or is it not? Like,
well, let's this would be good. This would be a good time to like get into another like little debate portion that I'm sure we'll have different ideas on.
Debate.
Don't worry, guys, we're not going to talk about retirement planning.
Yeah, right.
But no, dude, like, so where do you stand about that if that becomes more of a trend? So I had a little discussion in a Discord the other day with someone saying that you know, about the Twilight Masquerade. Oh, you know, you can't find it. They need to reprint this. The cards are too expensive already. Or like other sets, they need to reprint this. And I'm still under the mindset right now. Like I'm even on the fence on Paldea. I am still under the impression, I don't think we need reprints right now. I don't think there's any reason to reprint these sets. And I'll give my reasoning and you can give yours. I'm sure I'll be on the other side of this. But I think people just like want there to be no money. Almost like the whole alpha investments, like the whole game piece. I really feel like the game piece army is stronger than ever. Like people want things to have no value. And like what they don't understand is that happens, the hobby dies, right? You have to have value. And it's like, what do people want? $80 $90 booster boxes? Like I think 100 to 110, even up to 120 is healthy. Like that is where I think booster boxes should be. Like ETBs, they should be $50 to $60. Like that's a healthy price for an ETB. And for people to like think things need to be reprinted already because we have boxes selling for $105, $110, I think it's kind of ridiculous. But what's your mindset with all that?
Well, I think it's tough though, because like I've actually fall more in line with your camp. The only exception to that is Evolving Skies. But that's because I feel like if we got a reprint for Evolving Skies a year ago from today, booster boxes would probably still be at around $400. So for me, it's like, I didn't think it would have hurt anyone. I think if anything, it would have just doubled down another opportunity for people to get in on a set that was already like going to moon. And that's where it's a little bit different for me, because I'm like, this set is insane demand. It's like an outlier compared to everything else. Because if you wanted to get access to like Sword and Shield era booster boxes of like Fusion and like Chilling, you could have gotten it for like $80 to $90 for like almost a full year. So at the end of the day, I see it as being logical why they didn't reprint that. But Evolving is completely different because it is such an outlier. So that's where, for me, if you take Evolving out of it, I actually line up more with you on that one, because I look at currently the like Scarlet Violet era and I say to myself, hey, what do I want versus what Pokemon's done historically? Pokemon historically says, I don't give a frick what the price is. If it's under demand, I'm still going to print it into the ground if it's something that I feel like is worth printing into the ground. And so for me, it's not like I want certain, like Paldea Evolved, dude, I mean, on distros, obviously it's less widely available. You can still pick it up for around 110 on distros and some other places. If you go to like Safari Zone or other Facebook marketplace groups, you can probably find it for around 110, 115. So for me, in my mind, how I look at it is, it's like, if you said to yourself right now, I could go get in on like a Chilling Reign for like 110, 115, people will be eating that up. And ultimately, the scarcity is going to continue with that set, and then the value is going to go up. I wouldn't be surprised if Paldean Evolve was at 170 a year from now. Like, that would not surprise me. I don't think that's a crazy take to say, especially since it's at 130 now. So on TCG Player. So for me, I think that scarcity is a good thing in terms of the realms of sealed product. It gives opportunities for things to mature. And more importantly, it lets people know that like they don't have to wait for reprints, because that's the big problem I feel like we have in the market, where people always are anticipating reprints to happen at some point. And so then the demand for a set starts to get tempered because, oh, well, I don't need to get it now because prices will come down at some point. Like, and that's something I hate to say, because I tell people that, like, people ask me when's the best time for me to go buy the singles. I always tell people, wait for the reprint, wait for the next wave, then you can buy the singles, because at that point, then you'll feel a lot more confident. I mean, a good example of that was Shining Fates. Like, Shining Fates was one where it was super exorbitantly expensive when it first came out. And then as continued to have more and more waves, it got so ridiculously cheap, where baby shinies went from like an average of $10 a price now to down like $2 to $3 a baby shiny. So it's difficult. You have to be able to like play the game of like, oh, well, I anticipate a reprint, but you know, and there's only been a few instances, at least in the Sword and Shield era, where that hasn't been the case, like Rebel and Base. So I think it's, to answer your question more or less, I think it's good for the hobby, except for the instance of Evolving Skies, for it to not be available. But as much as what I want versus what Pokemon does is a little different.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of on like what Pooping Turtle said about like, or not, never mind. Sorry, it was who said? Oh, the Rawest Dog said like, I think Pokemon realized the first 3 sets they were you know, they were overprinting it. The stuff was too cheap. It was too widely available, and so they dialed it back a little bit, because I think Pokemon Company wants the boxes to be more expensive these days because of the MSRP rise. I think they want them to be 105 to 120 a box. I don't think they want their boxes to be $90, $80 on the market. And I get MD sports cards. Like, this is what all the shop owners always say. It's like, I literally, you could copy and paste this to anyone that owns a shop or sells. If shops can get product for distros in 2 years or less, original print date, it should be available. Like, yeah, but they are available. Like, Eli can tell you, everything's available. It's just not available at the price you want to pay. Like, you can pick up any set right now for 95 a box, 100 a box. Like, go buy it. But like, people want it to be available at like the lowest pre-release distro pricing, and like, I just don't think that's realistic. I think the only sets that aren't available are like 151, maybe Paldean Fates. That's it.
Yeah, Paldean Fates and 151.
So all their mainline booster box sets literally are still. I can buy them right now on distribution from Eli. Like, they're all available. It's just they're not all available at $88 or $90. Like, and that shouldn't be like saying they need a reprint because they're not available at rock bottom dollar anymore. They're still there if you want them.
So last time I looked about, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point. One of my main distros had 15,000 booster boxes of Paradox Rift, and I'm looking right now. So this is about 2 or 3 weeks ago. They're at 11,502. So it's gone down. Like, that's a big chunk that's gone down in like a 3-week period. But like, that's still a lot. Like, that's not like an unhealthy. Like, that's 11,500 is a lot, guys. Like, that's still available for Paradox. So I don't know. That's something that I kind of say to myself, where it's like, all right, guys, like, Paradox is not going anywhere for a little bit at least, which is funny because it's moving on TCG Player. Like, prices are going up, but I think until we really see it get off a distro, I don't see it going up. And then you also ask yourself the question next, like, what happens if it finally runs out and it pulls a Battle Styles where it looks like it's about to make a run for it, and Pokemon says, nope, gotcha, nice try. And then it just gets reprinted again and then goes even lower. Like, you know, you don't really know.
I mean, I'm gonna try to have faith in Pokemon. They've survived and done well longer than a lot of the other TCGs. So I'm gonna try to have faith in them, and they're gonna do the right things and reprint sets when they need it and not before, and not print them in the ground. And yeah, it's a thing. I'm honestly, I don't even like talking about it anymore. It's almost like the Japanese 151 thing. Like, I'm at that point now with reprints. Like, people are like so obsessed. They're obsessed talking about reprints and worried about reprints and, oh, I'm going to be able to buy it cheaper there. You don't want to buy it too early, dead money. It's just like, it's so mind numbing. It's like, all right, man, then don't buy it. Like either buy it or don't buy it, but stop talking about it every day, worried about if reprints are coming or not coming. Like I've said it before, if you find boxes in the 80s or low 90s, just buy them. Reprints or not, there's a very low probability they're ever going to be that price again. Like Paldean Evolve might get a reprint. It might drop it to 100, 105, like maybe 95. You're probably never going to see $85, $90 again. Like, so I would stop getting so worried about reprints and worrying about when or if they're coming, and just buy things at good prices that are good sets that you believe in and hold them.
Well, I just double checked the timestamp. Funny enough, it was actually 3 weeks ago from today is when I made the last price check-in. So to kind of play into what you're saying with that, you have to also ask the question too, right? Like when it came to with us transitioning from yellow to silver borders, that was a year where we didn't really get a ton of like new supply. Like the only thing in 2023, I think it was, no, 2022 that we really got was we got the Charizard UPC printed in the ground and then a couple other items. But for the most part, during that silver border to yellow border transition, there wasn't a ton that was kind of there, right? Sure, we got a ton of reprints last year, but it also begs the question that's going to be asked, okay, we are transitioning into that higher MSRP price point, and you have seen distros start to lower their prices more consistently on new set releases. Because before it was every single distro was doing 95, 50, 96, 97 bucks plus, right? Some distros are coming down and they're going into the $93 price point because they're seeing the demand. And I have to assume that Pokemon is doing allocations with these distributors and is probably noticing that. So what happens if we say to ourselves, all right, historically Pokemon's always done this except for this one outlier when we switch from yellow to silver borders? What happens if Pokemon sees the demand and is like, we're going to kind of take a back seat and really just focus on the high demand sets, and those are the ones we're going to print? Because if you look at like the XY era, like sure, Roaring Skies and like Primal got their prints, but like for the most part, a lot of the XY era sets didn't really have like massive reprints that came out afterwards because the demand just wasn't that high for the XY era. It was ridiculously low. So unless we're talking like those evolutions and other sets, who knows? Maybe we say to ourselves that Pokemon is like, all right, we're back in the XY era with the same kind of demand trend. But then I guess the next thing you also ask yourself the same question is Pokemon is also on a roll right now with like new record after new record of like, the most amount of cards printed and sold. It also is something where if they go to their shareholders and say, hey, we actually missed the mark this year and printed less than we did the previous year, it's hard to imagine that that's going to go over well with the company and the performances. So you would like to think, at least in that regard, they're going to try and do something to put an emphasis on meeting those measurements on sales and cards printed. So it's weird. There's so much confluence at play.
Well, I think a big part of the problem in this hobby too is with all TCGs, the amount of time people are in it is so small. And so people who haven't been in it a long time forget the bad times. Guys, I remember watching like Mason Cardinal Gaming's video, CNA Games Now, where he would just talk about all these products that were sitting on his shelf, not selling, not selling, not selling. And so like all these people calling for all these reprints, here's what happens. You get reprinted too much. The boxes and card values all fall to basically nothing, and no one wants it anymore. No one wants to open it. No one wants to buy it, and it sits. Like, you have to understand there's a happy medium, and if you reprint things too much, you end up with a battle style situation, right? You end up with a Darkness Ablaze ETB, Vivid Voltage ETB situation, Shining Fates ETBs, where they literally sit the same price for years. The card values don't change. The boxes don't move, and Pokemon knows this too, and they don't want to make those same mistakes again either. And anyone like I said, this is why the player and like people who just want to like get cards for the absolute cheapest dollar, they want to open packs for free, they want to have them be given out free with Happy Meals. Like that's where the disconnect is people don't understand how like value and rarity and scarcity actually are good things for the market overall, and things shouldn't be, pennies and meaningless.
Yeah, 1000%. It's a fun time, man. We'll see what ends up happening in the market. I mean, there's a lot that will be revealed in the holiday season, that's for sure. But all right, here's kind of what we should start doing now is going into the question section because we have been going for about 50 minutes.
Oh no.
I know, crazy, right?
That scares me.
It scares you. We're gonna do another long video. Oh. Also, I'll talk about it later. But what was I gonna say?
Say it.
Nothing. I was just gonna say, you know how like you and I have like talked about video performances together about like the streams and stuff. I realized that like there was a huge like drop off in RPM because I swore within the first minute of the last stream. And
Is
I
that
didn't
why?
even 100%. Yeah. Because I never swear. But I did swear in the previous video. And I was going to mention that because I was like, oh, dude, I didn't even realize
I'm gonna
that.
start doing that every time now, like first 5 seconds.
Oh, that's rude.
Just
That's
to kill your
nice.
RPM.
That's so mean. But yeah, if you guys got questions, please feel free to leave it down in the comment section below of the live chat, and let's see. Is it true that older vintage cards are going down on revenue and the newer sets are going up?
I think it's always kind of been a thing. I mean, here's the thing: if you're going for the vintage market, you're gonna want things that are obviously they're like either so rare and niche and sought after that like the high end people are always gonna want them. Like the ponchos are doing really well again, and like the unique Japanese promos, like the highest end first edition, the shinings, crystals, things like that. But yeah, like if you're talking just like regular unlimited, WotC or just like regular hollows of like random Pokemon or mid-era, like a lot of that stuff, there's a good chance it's never really going to do good again. I know that's being like, a downer, but people only have so much money to go around. And as the set grows, there's more and more sets, more and more cards every year. And the simple truth is, I mean, the new art and the new cards just kind of outshine a lot of the vintage stuff. So it's, the vintage market is either staying the same or shrinking, maybe growing at sometimes. The modern markets where all the marketing dollars are being spent, all the new people entering the hobby, it's all they're seeing, all the pack ripping, like that's where the focus is, that's where the attention is, so that's where the demand is. So that's why you see all the money being spent there and very little making it back to vintage. Because to be honest, the vintage market, it's going to be really kind of more catered to like the people who are like, the true, real deep hobbyists, the whales who have that kind of money to spend, hundreds or thousands of dollars on a single card. And it's not really built for like the more casual collector, the casual player, the pack opener, anything like that. So that's why you see that trend.
I think that you saw it where vintage was much more expensive to boot. And I think that the trend has changed where the appreciation of artwork has continued to go up and there isn't the same kind of appreciation for the vintage stuff as there was. And I also think as well, there's more vintage now than people realize. I think like you'd mentioned when going to one of the card shows, there was so much less available sealed product from like Sun and Moon XY than there was of WotC era product. There was so much more out there. So that's how I look at it, is there's a lot of vintage that is coming out of the woodworks because there was such a huge run up during COVID of it. And the value is started to kind of taper off because the supply has started to increase drastically. I mean, simple as that in my mind. Let me see if there's another one we can pull up. That's good. I saw a couple of the newer ones, but I wanted to see if people had questions that were older.
How much do you think Evolving Skies will be by 2025? I think it'll be
$1 bajillion.
$1,500.
I mean, here's one to just give our opinions of. What are our thoughts on the borders for the new art design? I mean, you haven't even seen it though, have you?
Haven't seen it.
Yeah, you haven't even seen it. Classic Alex, always chilling. Alex is like, I love it. It's the best. It's gonna be the next
greatest ever.
I'm getting it.
The newer, the better.
Called it first. No, I think they're sick. I'm a huge fan personally.
All right, let me pull here. Name a card. I'll pull it up.
God, it's about time. Dude, I'm gonna botch this name so freaking much.
Hold on. What are the new rainbow borders?
Here, I'll here. Let me just link it for you. I'll just DM you. I'll just DM you on Poke Beach. Don't ask me the name. I'm not gonna pronounce it right. I think if I'm correct, it's pronounced Doshboon, I think is how it's pronounced. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Oh no, it's Terapagos. My bad. I'm dumb. It's Terapagos.
I like it. What is this? Like a new rarity?
Yeah, so it's like the new version of SIRs where like they took the borders and they made them a rainbow border.
Dude, this is okay. I'm not shilling, but this is way better looking than the old rainbows were.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I was hyping up Stellar because I thought that this is gonna be like the next new cool like art design rarity.
I do like it. I will say that.
I love it. It's cool too because it's still playing to the crystal theme, but if you look at the borders, it does feel like straight up crystal borders, and I think they did a phenomenal job with that. So,
Agreed.
I think, depending upon general scarcity, I think this could be one of those $100+ cards. I mean, I like it a lot. I really love the art design for this card. I think it's super sick. Maybe a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but I think this is a gorgeous art design.
How can you disagree? It's a good looking card. Like, I mean, price points we can disagree on. Who's going to disagree? That's not a good new design.
Yeah, scarcity. It just comes down to scarcity, right? That's just kind of how it's going to be. Stellar Terra Pokemon. Who doesn't like turtles? Yeah, I think it's going to be a great card. I think that the general scarcity is going to determine whether that card's going to be a $60 card or whether it's going to be a $100 card. That's at least how I look at it. I think more than likely that's going to be one of the top cards in the set. So, but
Thomas wants to know how we maintain our self-control and not open products.
I don't. Kind of. I do, but I don't. But okay,
that's why I started pack breaks right there.
Yeah, so right.
Open them for other people and still get that rush.
Okay, so I am usually pretty good about my self-control. I haven't opened Pokemon product in forever, but recently there's one person who is trying to pull the Gengar from Fusion, and he keeps coming into the shop and buying Fusion, and he has not been lucky. And so one day I was like, I want to open some Fusion packs. And I told myself that I was going to open Fusion until I got an alt art. And within the first 50 packs, I got the Sandaconda. And I'm like, that doesn't count. That's awful. That's my first one. So then I opened another like 60 packs and I got the Mew V. And I'm like, okay, I'll stop it there. But dude, I went through, I think I opened like 117 packs in total is how much I counted. Jeez. But at the end of the day, it was brutal because in my mind, it wasn't necessarily brutal because I was still above odds. I mean, alt arts are 1 in 72. So I was above odds on both. But the fact is like with Fusion as a set at this point, like unless you're pulling the Mew VMAX or the Gengar VMAX or the Espeon VMAX, you're kind of busting. And if you hit the Sandaconda, it's even worse. And so for me, you want to talk about temptation, dude? Like, oh my gosh, I haven't opened in so long packs. Like, I haven't really been opening a ton of packs. I think the last big pack break I did was Paldea Evolved. And so for me, I'm usually really good about it, but I was like, dude, I'm fiending to open packs. I haven't done it in a while. I want to pull that Gengar. And I was so upset when I got like one of the one Sandaconda. I was like, are you serious? Like, that's the one I got. So
MD Sports Cars is being a downer today. He says zero desire to open Pokemon. I'd rather ride down Main Street throwing money out the window or put it all on black on roulette. Like,
that's crazy.
Come on, dude.
That's crazy. Zero desire to open Pokemon. Are you kidding me? There's so much desire to open Pokemon. Are you kidding me? Hey man, at least if you but here's how I look at it, right? If you lose on opening like packs after you open like 1,000 packs and you still lose money, at least the what you pulled is going to, in theory, at some point retain and not gain value over a long period of time.
That's why I
Versus if
tell anyone that's ever like any of my friends that have talked to me about like getting into Pokemon and stuff. I'm like, hey, well, let me just ask you this. What do you spend money on right now? Like what did you do last month, right? Oh, I went to this concert, I went to this movie, this sports game, this like, dude, if you just cut a couple of those things out and put that money towards Pokemon, you're still better off at the end. Like you still have some, even if you open packs, buy an investment, it goes down. Like at the end of the day, you're still better off than throwing it away on other forms of entertainment.
If I gambled $1,000 in Pokemon versus $1,000 in roulette, and let's say that I lost $500 in each, so I walked away with 500 left over. The difference is with gambling on roulette, I walked away $500 cash versus $500 in Pokemon cards. Those Pokemon cards at least are going to be some form of a store of value. Like, sure, I guess you can make the argument like, oh, well, I'll take that $500 cash and go buy Pokemon. But that's not usually what's happening in both situations. Like one is at least something you can hold on to a value. It's not like it's going to just dissipate and not be worth something. So, at least in that regard, when you are gambling, you're not just walking away with nothing where you could easily see yourself doing that roulette and going broke. Like it's not like
you can't be like trying to do it to make money. It's like for entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you do, fantastic. But odds are you're probably gonna at some point do something that's gonna make you lose money. It's gambling, right? Like that's
it's like do I want to hit up the movie theater, watch a brand new movie, get some popcorn, soda, spend like $80, or I could watch a movie at home, make some popcorn, and open a booster box, and then I have some money left over either way instead of all zero.
Yeah, right. It's a fun time, that's for sure. But God, I can't believe people are hating on that. It's so funny.
Hating on what?
Oh, just the statement about throwing money out the window.
I think he was joking.
Eric says, can cards have more than one spike? It goes from 10 to 100, then levels out 50, 60-ish. A month later it goes up. Oh, all the time. That's literally any single psychological market. Like the psychology of a market or just a market like trend. Here, I can probably pull up the chart because I like to share it. Psychology market chart. Like with the psychology of a market chart, this is one that I pulled up all the time when I was first starting off.
I will say though, like Eric, I mean, this kind of should go without saying, but like not every card like does well over time. Like a lot of cards can like fizzle out and just never move again. So be careful.
That is true. Yeah. But like what he's saying, is it possible? 100% it's possible. Share screen, entire window. Yeah. So like
the trainer galleries and alt arts literally do this.
So like when it comes to, I am more or less just showing this because this is just what general market trends look like. And this is something that you see a lot in market cycles. This is just a very popular icon. Like you see this like in everything. You see this in Pokemon, you see this in Bitcoin, you see this in the stock market. Like these specific charts look undeniably popular in market cycles. So I guess the point that I'm saying is that to answer your question, this specific question of 10 to 100 and then 50, 60-ish, and then 150 to 200 is exactly what you tend to see this on like a macro level. Like now, to be fair, like Pokemon typically is much more volatile. So you'll see this on more of a micro level, which we don't have like the advanced charting in Pokemon in the same way we do, to where we can see it in the same way as we do with macro, but it's still following the same values, I guess, or the same like rules and of just how the psychology of the market works, where you'll see like alternate arts go up to like $150 after they were $10 for tag team cards. And then those same tag team cards will drop 30-40%, and then they'll retest and break their all-time highs. Like that's just literally what we're seeing is right now currently a perfect example of that with these tag team alternate art cards. So psychology of the market is something that's a very common thing that you see all the time in
the
general
only issue
investing.
I have with this chart is I feel like that when the drop, it should have ended at like a higher low. They had to go all the way down to old low. A lot of times they end up like stabilizing at a higher low.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Well, I think what it's not being illustrated because the chart cuts off is that previous low is the previous high from the last market cycle.
Okay.
Which it's not illustrating that is the problem because it's a cutoff from one to another. Because like if you look at Bitcoin, for example, that's a perfect one to look at. Bitcoin's 2014 all-time high was $3,000 and Bitcoin's 2017 market cycle all-time low after it retraced from 20,000 was $3,000. So the new low was the previous high. And if you look at like 2020 or 2021 market cycle where it went all the way up to 69,000, the new low I think was like 18 or 19,000. So it was right around the previous high. So like that's not being represented because because it's only so big enough of a chart and it's just kind of illustrating the general like cycle. But if you actually like pan out to like a monthly or like a weekly graph on like crypto, it literally just shows micro versions of this. Like it'll literally show that exact same thing happening and then it'll continue to go up and show that exact same trend. It's really fascinating to witness.
Did you have mystery packs?
You didn't know that?
No. Someone said
dude.
Pokemon 2.0 mystery packs. I didn't know there was a 1.0.
Dude, there was. Dude, I loved my mystery packs. Those were fun, dude. People in the shop have been asking about it, if I was going to ever bring it back. Yeah, dude, I totally did mystery packs. It was fun.
Oh man.
I had multiple different versions of mystery packs. I had mystery packs that I just sold to the general public, and basically what it was like a knockoff version of Pokerevs, except for the pull rates were like significantly better. So instead of it being like a 1 in 25 for a gold, I think it was like a 1 in 16. And
like you throw like a first edition base set pack in there and you have like one of your buddies get it, like type thing.
Yeah, right. No, it was a Power Keepers heavy pack. It was a heavy Power Keepers pack.
Oh yeah, that was the one your wife got, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know what's upsetting too is the person like private messaged me that he got the Power Keepers, and I was like, why are you private messaging me this? Go tell people you got the Power Keepers. I need people to know that you actually pulled it. And so I did one with that where it was basically it cost the same price as his but way better pull rates. And then I did another one as like a thank you for like people being in the wholesale program. After we got up to like 100 members, I did one where it was a 50% chance you got a silver pack, and it was like a 1 in 5 chance or 1 in 3 chance you got a gold. I can't remember what the odds were, but it was something like that. And basically I ended up losing $2,000 from it because for me, it was like a big like, hey dude, we like made this a program. Like we've got 100 people in this program, and as like a thank you, I'm going to lose a crap ton of money and like weigh the packs in your guys' favor. Like you could still lose on it because it's obviously a mystery pack, like someone's got to lose, but like the amount of money you could have made off of it in retrospect, because I myself was eating on it, like you could have made way more on the like higher value packs, because it was no longer where it was like, all right, so like most of the gold packs, you hit a gold pack, it's like $100 gold pack. Like no, I had like 4 or 5 at least gold packs that were selling for like 200 plus bucks. So there was a lot of really high value gold packs that I was really wanting. Like we had, I mean, some of the other ones.
Pokemart USA mystery packs, guys.
Oh God, I wouldn't say that. It was a fun open though. I had a full blown stream actually, where because for my first ever ones, I thought it'd be fun if we did like a pack break opening of my mystery packs. And I'm not even kidding you. We pulled every single big hitter within each of the sets of Sword and Shield. We pulled the Moonbreon. We pulled the Chilling Reign Blaziken. We pulled the Machamp. We pulled the Tyranitar, and we did it all within like the first 20 packs of each one of those like Sword and Shield era sets. Like it was by far one of my best openings that I have like ever done. Like it was insane to witness how many alt arts we were pulling. I did the math after the stream. I think our pull rate for an alt art it was 1 in 24 or 1 in 30. I can't remember, but like the odds of that being like our alt art pull odds were insane. So it was super fun. It was super fun being able to offer something like that. So I'll do it again at some point. I know a lot of people in the shop have asked about it. So it would be a really fun time. But Sup, you
What up,
guys?
Don?
What's up, Don? How we doing, brother?
We're just
how-
out here, man. We're out here grinding every day.
do you think XY labeled modern has a negative effect on them increasing in value?
No, what? Why?
Wait, do you think XY being labeled modern has a negative effect? No, I don't think it matters. Because I don't think a lot of people are looking as XY being more. I mean, I guess XY is still kind of considered modern because of the change in art design with EXs, but I don't think that it being labeled modern has an effect at all.
I mean, have you looked at XY? Like, guys,
That's a
I
lot.
made a video about it. Like, not trying to pat myself on the back, but like, I made a video when the megas were announced, like that they were like going to be the new game. A lot of those cards have all spiked lately. Like a lot of the XY cards, the boxes are starting to rise again. Like, I mean, XY did good last year as well. It had good percentage gains. Like XY is doing just fine. Like just because it's past its like initial, pump like to the moon phase when it was newer, like kind of like Sword and Shield just went through, or Sun and Moon went through a couple of years ago. Like just because that like initial rise is over, it doesn't mean they're not performing well or not.
Wait, you said a lot of the megas are spiking up in value?
Yeah, like go look at like Ancient Origins megas. Go look at like, I mean, all of them, pretty much all the full art megas.
I'm gonna pat myself on the back then, because dude, that was the number one thing I kept telling you when they announced Z. I said, be ready for megas to spike up in value because people are going to start getting nostalgic and reminiscent it. That's what happens.
We have the live stream we talked about. So I mean, no one can say that like they didn't know this was coming. We literally said, I mean, thousands of views, so everyone here probably saw it. So it's like, I think XY is doing just fine.
Yeah, it's like,
especially for much easier pull rates, like much easier pull rates.
Yeah, it's at a point now where you're starting to see people get nostalgic of XY. I mean, that's just how it is, man. Nostalgia will get people to reminisce, and then the value will start to go up because the one thing people can't get back is time. So since Black and White and everything before it hit rates and only seen big moves within huge markets, where do you see XY and Sun and Moon start to do the same price point wise? What does he mean by hit roofs? I don't know what he means by that.
I guess because they hit like those, multiple $1,000 boxes, and then they kind of like have went stagnant.
Oh, I see. I see what you mean.
I just think whenever anything gets in the thousands, it always like stops the liquidity. It always kind of stops rising as much. It's because those are price points where your average person can't really hit. So I think for this higher value sets like Phantom Forces, Flash Fire, and those may see like harder times of like rising, fast. Whereas I think a lot of the boxes still in like the mid hundreds or higher hundreds. I think we could see those do very well because I mean, in my mind, once boxes start to get like that 7, 8, 9, 10 year plus old and they're still in the hundreds, that seems undervalued to me. And especially if it has cards in there that are selling for a good amount, especially in PSA 10. I think there's probably more room there to grow than like the higher value ones. So yeah, I just think it comes down to the price points being too high for the average consumer.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's kind of what we're seeing with Evolving right now. It's been at 700 for a while. Like at first, it looked like it was going to make a run up.
It's trying to move.
It's trying to move, but yeah, I mean, it takes time. It takes time for cards to move after they've hit certain price points. Because, like Alex was saying, I mean, that's honestly my biggest thing, and maybe we get into a huge debate here on why I think there's still some semblance of value in some of the ETBs, because I look at them and I say to myself, what happens when all these like booster box sets are all of a sudden selling for like $1,000 and then these ETBs are all selling for sub 100? Like there's gonna have to be some price value within the ETBs because like there is a collectability aspect to it, and then the value perspective of it all, where people are looking at the ETBs and the premium you're paying for booster boxes, and they're saying to themselves, I can go collect this item, put it in my shelf, and I'm going to go get like a Vivid Voltage ETB that's going to have like a Pikachu on the cover art, which is a super popular Pokemon. and it's going to be significantly cheaper than me going out and buying the booster box because I can't afford a $500 booster box, but I can easily afford an $80 ETB. Like that's at least where in my mind, regardless of where you look at like the debate between, you know, ETBs versus booster boxes, there is going to be some semblance of demand in that regard because it's not going to be outpriced in the same way as a lot of booster boxes are over time.
Yeah, it'll probably have some sort of give and take. Like there'll be times where the box seems overvalued and people will start moving into the others products, and then those prices will start to rise, and then they'll say, well, I'll just buy the box then, and then I'll move back to the box. And yeah, I can see that happening. I mean, I made a video like a while ago about like sort of that glass ceiling where it's like that unofficial, like I think I said that it was like $400 to $700 is where like the majority of booster boxes fall. And after that, it's like those are the kind of times where you want to ask yourself, well, do I want to sell and move into newer products at like 80, 90 a box because I have a better chance of making money? Because a lot of the boxes kind of hit that little trading range and they sit there for a long time. You have like the top sets in each era kind of break out, but a majority of the sets kind of hit their ceiling around then. So I think that's what it comes to. I think it's just the average consumers kind of they have a tendency not to want to spend more than $400, $500, $600 on a box.
Well, here's a real interesting question now, and we're talking Sun and Moon era. I wonder if that's what happened with booster boxes compared to ETBs. Because if you looked at ETB prices, a lot of the ETBs were, you know, slightly cheaper or around the same price as like booster boxes.
You can't do this. You can't compare XY Sun and Moon ETBs. Come on.
I'm not comparing XY. I'm just saying Sun and Moon ETBs. I'm saying that like right now you haven't seen a price adjustment in ETBs. Like the ETBs from the Sun and Moon era haven't moved like
they're extremely rare.
They're right, but they haven't moved up. Have they moved up at all in the past 2 or 3 years? Not to my knowledge.
Probably not.
So I guess what I was trying to say is like the ETBs in the Sun and Moon era have been ridiculously expensive for the longest time, and you haven't seen a price run up on them in the past 2 to 3 years, but you saw a significant price run up in booster boxes. And what I'm trying to illustrate with that is, hey, maybe you saw that price run up happen with the booster boxes because the ETBs were so expensive, and they looked at it and they said, oh, well, why would I get the ETBs when they're so expensive right now? I can just go get the booster boxes. And then that's what kind of led to the catalyst of all of these booster box prices starting to go up. Like there was some of that psychological, like you said, give and take that played into it. Are you looking at ETB prices right now?
Actually, they have performed well. So I'm looking at Ultra Prism.
Come on, dude. You can't do that, dude.
I honestly, I'll stand by that. I don't think you can look at Sun and Moon or XY and try to compare those to Sword and Shield. It's a completely different.
I didn't compare them to Sword and Shield though. I never.
What I'm saying is you can't make it sound like Sword and Shield ETBs are going to perform anything like this though.
But I didn't even say that though.
Right. but no, like $175 a year ago. Now it's selling for $260. Ultra Prism.
That's crazy.
Let's look at Cosmic Eclipse. Let's see how that one did. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge run up.
That's hard though. Cosmic's hard because there's only 2 listings on TCG Player.
Yeah, and it hasn't had a crazy move. Like, no, dude, like some of them have, it looks like, had some moves.
What about Unified? I feel like Unified's been at around the $300 price range forever. I think it's around that.
Oh, Team Up was selling in the 380s last year. There's multiple sales now in there's 2 sales at $647.97. That's double.
Oh, that's interesting.
Almost double. Not quite. Let's take a look at another. Let's look at like Burning Shadows. Let's look at a less popular set.
Burning Shadows had a lot of ETB supply. Burning Shadows was in stores during COVID. And there was a resupply.
There was a late reprint. Yeah.
Yeah. So Burning Shadows
$98 a few months ago, and now it's $126. Everything's just kind of moving, man.
Yeah.
The market's strong. Like I think what it is, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. You don't really think about it, but man, it's like things are doing well pretty much across the board.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think that it's just kind of like you had said, there's like ebbs and flows of the market where at some points you'll have like booster boxes move in price, and then from that you'll start to see people start to appreciate the ETBs, and the values will go up for that, and then it'll kind of be like a back and forth. Like we'll kind of see what ends up happening over the next like 3 or 4 years and what that looks like. But for me, like Lost Origin ETBs and Silver Tempest ETBs, they're obviously not performing nearly as good as like the booster boxes in the grand scheme of things, in general retrospect. But also the exact same time, it's something where it'll still be interesting to follow to see where the price performance of them are going to be once LO hits 500 a box, right? Where that's going to put the price point of the ETBs. Here's an interesting question. If Lost Origin hits $500 a booster box, what do you think the price of the ETB will be at?
I think it'll be around. Those are 8-pack ETBs, right?
Yes. So you're paying, just to put into perspective, I don't know if you care about this number, but
I would guess them to be around like the 120 to maybe 130, 140 range. 120 to 140 is what I would guess.
120 to 140.
Because like that would put packs at 1388, 1389 multiplied by 8 would be 111. And the ETBs usually carry a little bit of a premium. So I would say 120, 130.
Okay. You want to hear something interesting about that?
Okay.
So if you're saying that a booster box.
Oh wait, hold on. No, sorry.
Oh.
I just thought about that. Booster box packs always carry a premium. So it would depend on what the packs are going for. Yeah.
Well, that was the number I was going to give you. So the number for the loose pack premium is $13.88. That's how much you're paying as far as the premium goes. And if you look at like Evolving Skies right now, and maybe Evolving Skies is a horrible one to look at, but if you look at Evolving Skies, you're paying a $19.44 premium, and the pack prices are going for $13. So if you take that number and you say, all right, I'm going to take that as a general percentage, then you're paying is that number right? You're paying, wait, hold on. 19.4 divided by 13 equals, you're paying a 49% premium is how much you're paying for the booster box compared to the loose pack.
So maybe it looked more like maybe $80 or $90 in ETB. Like double by the time it was a $500 box.
Well, because if you're saying, hold on 1 second. So if we're saying that the pack price of is $13.88, we'll say $14 just to round up, just to make it simple, right? So they're selling for $504 a box, right? So if we're saying $14 and you're paying about a 49% premium times 1.49 equals, that means basically the price per pack is going to be roughly around $10. So, but do you think that all the value just comes into the packs themselves? You don't think there's a
slight premium usually, like but not a ton. Like nothing holds premium like a booster box. Like 3-pack blisters will have a slight premium. ETBs, like I just don't think it's gonna be much. Like that's why I said if the packs come out to $80, maybe you'd see $90, $100 ETBs, something like that.
Yeah. Well, maybe let's look at like an older set. Like maybe let's take a look at. I don't want to look at.
It's really hard to look at any sets because, like, look at Rebel Clash. Well,
that's why it's so hard, because I know there's obviously the debate between ETB versus booster boxes. And booster boxes.
I think starting from Darkness Ablaze. Like I think we need to start from Darkness Ablaze because that's when they started crazy printing all of the different all the sets.
Do you think looking at Chilling's bad at all? Do you think that one's bad to look at?
Because Chilling had a huge print. All those ETBs right now, like everything from like Darkness Ablaze onwards, they were all like, heavily printed. They were all like in the 30s. You could buy them open market in the 30s, low 40s. So no, I think looking at any of those are good.
So Chilling ETBs, they're both, we'll just take the average of the two. One's 50, one's 52. We'll say 51 is how much they're going for right now, right? Yeah. So, and if you look at that, and then you look at the price per pack, if we say $51 divided by 8, you're paying $6.37 per pack. And if you're looking at Chilling Reign right now, the loose pack is lowest listed, selling for $4.60. So there is a decent premium if you break it down that way.
So how much is it? 460 you said?
460 is what the loose pack value is going
Times
for.
8 would be 36. So it's got about oh wow, it's a pretty good premium there.
Yeah, $6.37 is how much it's going for price per pack, compared to $228 is lowest listed on TCG Player. So divide that by 36. Whoa, wait, is the math on that right? You're paying a higher premium right now with Chilling Reign on the ETBs. There's no way that's right. $51 is the ETB divided by 8. You're paying $6.37 per pack.
You're paying less. You're paying more.
You're paying a higher premium on the ETBs? That's crazy, dude. That's wild.
Uh-oh.
That's wild that you're paying a higher premium on the ETBs. No, the math is mathing. That's crazy, because you're doing the math and you literally take 228 and you divide it by 36 and you get $6.33 how much you're paying a pack. Then you take the ETB, which is going for $51 on average, divide that by 8 because there's 8 in a pack, and you're paying $6.37. So you're paying, it's not a big one, a 4-cent premium. But that still is crazy to think about when you're comparing the two values of each one.
What about Don? Especially said ETBs are good investments because celebrations, and then Pandito and Pogo, and Champion's Path and Shining Fates.
Yeah, right. Man, that's wild, dude. Well, one thing that's interesting to also kind of think about, right? So Chilling Reign's ETBs, price-wise, it's going for 51 right now. The longest time you were able to buy them on distro for $21. Yikes. So that's what'd you say?
I said yikes.
Yeah, $21, dude. It was cheap getting Chilling Reign ETBs. So that's a 142% return if we're not including fees, right? Then if you put it on distro, how much you were able to buy it for on distro for the booster box. The booster box itself, you were able to get for about $82 for the longest time. So if you literally take the value of that, that's a 178% return. So they're honestly, like, the ETB is still being outperformed by like 30%, which is still a significant amount.
I think the issue comes down to liquidity at some point.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to say where I feel like the big thing that kills you is the amount of money it costs you to move them, because it's so much more expensive to ship.
Dude, there's not a single sale in July on one of these Chilling Reign ETBs. Like, when you look at Chilling Reign booster boxes, there's already, like, I don't know, 20 or 15 sales in July already. Like, even though the price point's higher, like, these auxiliary items like ETBs, blister packs, 3-pack blisters, check lane, like, they have so much less liquidity as the sets age than booster boxes. Like, booster boxes are always the most liquid in the end.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what the price is, like, it's like, well, if a booster box is 700 and the ETB is, 200 or 150, it's like the booster box may be more, but it's still more liquid. It sells more often.
Yeah. I think that, and maybe this is just me, I think that the only instances in which you could potentially see like some form of like price gain on the ETBs where you start to be surprised by the value of them are the ones that have really popular character arts. I think that, like, you could see Lost Origin ETBs or like the Fusion ETB or like the Vivid ETBs perform well because they have really popular characters and people like to collect those popular characters. Like, I don't know, like, obviously we're looking at Chilling Reign right now, and it is a surprising thing because I think the Calorexes are not as popular as Pokemon. But like, if you look at like Evolutions, for example, people are paying a premium for the Charizard one.
Yeah, and Evolving Skies is keeping up. It's not beating the booster box, but it's like I'm seeing like 3, 6, 7, 8 on one of the ETBs, and like 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the one of the ETBs, the one with the Flareon, Jolteon, Umbreon, and I guess that's Leafeon. That one's selling as good as the Evolving Skies booster box. The other one's lagging a little bit. So like that's the only set I've seen that I've looked at so far that's actually keeping up sales volume wise. Most of the other sets that don't have like popular Pokemon, the booster boxes, even though they're more expensive, they're still killing them liquidity wise.
Yeah, I have no confidence in Darkness ETBs. I think they're going to be terrible. I think long term they're going to perform terrible. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't think Eternatus is a character that people cared much for. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that one, but like I have much more confidence in like a Vivid Voltage one. I think the Vivid Voltage one, I mean, it started to go up in value, but the Vivid Voltage ETB when it like had its print was going for like $30 for the longest time, or like $25 for the longest time. And having like a Pikachu art design on an ETB, like it'll be interesting to see how it performs long term. But I feel like these art design characters, I mean, okay, maybe I'm gonna get flack for this one, but Silver Tempest, it's got a Vulpix art design. Maybe people like the Vulpix more than I realize, but I don't think it's going to perform as well as something like the Giratina box. I think the Giratina box is going to also perform really good. Not to mention too, if you can also couple that with cool art design and then also add on top of that desirable packs, I feel like you're going to have something that's going to be a value. So, but who knows, man? I mean, there's still so many questions that still need to be asked, and we really won't know until, I would argue, 3 to 5 years from now. Once Sword and Shield goes out of full rotation, like all of Sword and Shield goes out of full rotation, we'll know more answers. Because if you actually look at how the Lost Origin like ETB is performing, it's performing ridiculously well, all things considered. Because I don't know if you know about this, Alex, but 6 months ago we got an ETB and for reprint for Silver Tempest and LO.
Yeah, they were like $25.
Yeah, and there was an unlimited amount. There were so many of them that was available. Like
those were the ones that Rudy was like selling to his Patreons for like $19, I think, for the lowest.
Dude, so the fact of the matter that the ETB is about to hit $50 after it just had a supply, that's mind-boggling to me. When you look at that true performance, like if you're buying it for $20 and it's about to hit 50, that's actually it's actually outpacing from a percentage perspective the booster boxes right now, which maybe it's an unfair comparison because the booster box just got a small resupply, but the booster boxes on that small resupply is still at $200. Like it's still holding value. So I don't know. I guess the point that I'm trying to illustrate with this is, although if you look at the majority of the booster boxes right now, they are outperforming ETBs. I would say more than anything, don't sleep on some of the art designs on some of the ETBs with popular characters, because there might be some value that actually can be picked up on this, because it's a freaking sick ETB. That Lost Origin ETB art, like it's pretty freaking sweet, and people are going to still want to collect it for that reason. So who knows, man? You know, it would be a fun one to look at long term, how the Obsidian booster box compares to the Obsidian ETB. That will be a fun one to watch, because Obsidian.
Well, right now, I mean, I haven't checked Paldea, but every PC ETB is outperforming every booster box right now, I believe.
Dude,
Scarlet Violet.
Okay, but the Paldea ETB designs were pretty sick. They were pretty sweet.
I'm just saying, like every set, I think every PC ETB is outperforming the booster boxes.
Really? Wow.
Like let's see here. Here's Paldea. Yeah, it's 80. Let's see what it's selling for. Yeah, 88, 83, $91. Lowest listed is 82 plus 10 shipping. So it's like it's a $90 plus ETB. Pokemon Center was only $55, $50, whatever it is.
Yeah. So
yeah, that percentage gain is more than the Paldea box. Like, and it's like that for all the sets. Like a lot of the PCTBs have all seen like 30-40% growth, and the booster boxes aren't anywhere near that. So PC ETBs, if you can get in a Pokemon Center when they're actually available.
Yeah,
I mean, look at the 151. I mean, I'm gonna check. I think it's the 120s now. Am I right?
Oh, dude, 150.
Oh yeah, mid 120s. Last one just sold for $124.99.
Yeah, dude.
150% growth.
Like, listen, we talk about booster boxes a lot, but there's opportunities in ETBs. Like there is opportunities. You just got to make sure you're getting the right ones. I think that's the problem with the booster box versus ETB comparison. Booster boxes feel safer than ETBs because they're more liquid and you tend to hit more. But if you hit on the right ETB, because you're just playing the game, I feel like you can still get massive value. And to me, it feels like gimmies because you're looking at the ones that are the PC specialty ETBs. Those ones perform so well. I mean, dude, I was pre-selling. This sounds crazy. I was pre-selling on TCG Player because we're a hobby shop at 140 in ETB for Shine or Paldean Fates. And I sold out at 140. I sold I sold 3 cases of them. So I literally went in, pre-ordered.
How many chargebacks?
Zero chargebacks.
Come on.
0 chargebacks, bro. It was crazy to me to see that people. I literally went in, bought as many pre-orders as I could for them, which was 3 cases, right? So 12 in total. And then I was like, what are they selling for on the Pokemon Center or on a TCG Player? And they were selling for 140 and they were going fast. Like people were buying them for 140. And so I was like, all right, I'll just list it up. I have it confirmed. And we sold it. And so it was crazy to me to see like there was that like kind of arbitrage play that you could make with the specialty ETBs. And I told people about this. It was one of my top pickups in 2023 that I talked about, like going into the year 2023. I wouldn't shut up about it. Crown Zenith specialty ETBs. I would not shut up about it, bro. And it went up like crazy. So, you know, I think that if we're talking ETBs, I think the ones that I'm looking at right now is I think Vivid Voltage is one that I was watching. I think a Lost Origin I picked up a decent amount of actually because I feel like decent being like 3 or 4 cases. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, value wise, it's not that crazy, but I think it was one worth picking up. Silver Tempest. I don't think I picked up any. And Vivid Voltage is another one. I think that one is going to be one people are going to be surprised by because it's a Pikachu art design. And then I think that as terrible as a set as it is, I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't get it, but I am saying if we're following the same philosophy, it will be interesting to witness what's going to happen with the Obsidian Flames ETB because of the Charmander art design. It will be fascinating to kind of witness and see what that happens. More specifically, the PC one, obviously, but that one's going to, of course, perform much better because of the stamp premiums with the Pokemon Center.
Eric Bell asked if Shining Fates would have been better if they didn't print into the ground. I say no. Like, here, let me ask you a question real quick. Name me 3 cards in that set you want to pull.
I mean, I can name 3 cards in the set.
Apparently, most people can't name 3 of the top hit. It's Charizard. Where it's like, if I ask you about Hidden Fates, easy. If I ask you Paldean Fates, easy. Like, there's tons of stuff you want to pull. But it's like, Shining Fates is just a lack.
But I feel like that's also because of the price value. I feel like if you were talking about it when the set first came out, it was much easier to name all the expensive cards. But now that all the cards have been printed in the ground and aren't as worth as much, now all of a sudden it's hard to remember. Because the Suicune,
what else is in there?
The Suicune was going for $50 out the gate. It's going for like $10 now, maybe. I mean, it's probably cheaper at this point. Like the Suicune was going for quite a bit of money when it first came out.
I think you could almost argue Crown Zenith got printed pretty heavily too, and it's doing just fine because it's got actual things people want.
Oh, 1,000%. Well,
I just think Shining Fates it's a lackluster set.
Yeah, it is a lackluster set, but I think
even the baby shinies aren't as good as
it's a lackluster set, Alex. But if you had the same level of scarcity with Shining Fates as you did with Twilight, we'd be having a completely different conversation about what people think of the set. I guess. It's not obviously the case. Like the set is what it is with its pull rates, and that's
even
why
the baby shinies don't measure up to Hidden Fates or Paldean Fates. They're just less popular Pokemon.
Yeah. I mean, they focused with Paldean Fates much more on having baby shinies that were kind of in the same. Well, actually, before I say anything, I want to kind of look, but at least when thinking about Paldean Fates, I know you can hit the Pikachu. I know you can hit the Charmander line. I know you can hit some other popular Pokemon first gen. So at least with Shining Fates,
Mimikyu, the Ditto.
Yeah, I want to see with Shining Fates and kind of see what you can hit.
But real quick to Driver. Costco UPCs 151 at $90. Yeah, a buy. I mean, I think it's
that's a huge buy. That's a huge
buy.
Yeah, that's just in your face buy.
Like,
I mean, I'm looking.
You have to ask yourself, like, best case scenario, like let's say 151 gets a reprint, the ETBs go down to $45. They drop $20. It's like, so now I can buy 2 ETBs for the price of 1 UPC. I get 2 extra packs, 2 Snorlax cards, but with the UPCs, I get 2 less packs, but all 3 promos, and I can buy them right now, and I don't have to like hope they get reprinted and hope they drop to 45. No, I think UPCs are a great pickup either way.
Okay. So here's what I think. And these things are going to go hand in hand with my opinion. Do I think Paldean Fates and do I think Hidden Fates are much better sets than Shining Fates? 1000%. But I also think that Scarcity could have helped Shining Fates as a set. But but let's be real here. Scarcity helps any set, right? Let's be honest here. It helps any set. But ultimately, I think the fact is that when you look at the difference between the sets right now, outside of the Charizard, right? If there was better scarcity, the Ditto and the Lapras could be seen as higher valued sets, but because they were so much easier to pull, they're not as valuable of hits. And so the set got taken out pretty quickly because there's just nothing that is really worth chasing because it's so easy to hit most cards except for the Charizard. So that's where the set gets destroyed.
Let's have a hot take. Let's have a hot take.
Oh.
I think the reason Hidden Fates and Shining Fates are both haven't like moved and they might not is I think people are fed up and done with the stationary big just Pokemon artwork. I think that's why the gold cards don't perform well, the rainbows aren't performing well, and why these full art shinies aren't performing as well as they used to is because people are kind of over that and they like the alt art SIR style. And that's what Paldean Fates has. It has SIR style artwork. It doesn't just have those big, just like big images of Pokemon in a shiny form. And I think that's what hurts those older sets is people are just kind of, since we got alt arts and now SIRs, it's just kind of made those obsolete the same way that modern has kind of made vintage artwork obsolete. It's just kind of the evolution.
It's hard for me to say that though, because if that's the case, then why is Forbidden Light perform so well? Because Forbidden Light is literally
it hasn't. It hasn't. The boxes have. The cards haven't. The cards are still very, very low.
Well, okay. Well, then maybe I'll re-ask that question. Then, are you saying this from a cards perspective or a sealed product perspective? Because I think when most people think of Hidden Fates, they think more or less the like sealed product hasn't moved and it's been going sideways at around 170 forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Hidden Fates ETBs.
But the cards have been bad too. Like the Charizard's done nothing but drop ever since.
Is it still going down in value? I hope you're right.
I think it's finally stabilizing.
Dude, Hidden Fates ETB right now is selling at 175, 176. I mean,
trust me, I've been opening them.
It's been at this price for 2 years at least now. Like that's a long time for a set to just go sideways. Especially one of this caliber.
Forbidden Light's got 3 $50 cards in it, and that's it.
Right. But so I guess here's an important question to ask you. Why do you think Forbidden Light, the sealed product, has gone up while the Hidden Fate sealed product has not gone up?
It goes back to that conversation we had, and we're going to see how it plays out, but specialty set.
Charizard's moving, though. The Charizard was at 384 back in December, and it's now at 450.
Not bad. You know, I think it's specialty set, man. I think it's the curse of the specialty set.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Umbreon's also moved. Umbreon was at 112. It's now 170. That's a 50 to 60% gain on the Umbreon. Dang. Yeah, dude, Umbreon's moving. I mean, trust me.
It's kind of crazy the sealed isn't moving with those.
That's what I'm saying, bro. This Sylveon went from 75. It's now at 90. Cynthia is going for it looks like Cynthia actually kind of retraced a little bit. It's going up in the past month to 3 months, but it looks like it's gone down since its previous high.
Everything's up for the year. No, I mean Sylveon's up from 74
Espeon's down. Espeon's down on the year. It was at the high of 72. Now it's 55. So it looks like specifically the Charizard, the Umbreon, and the Sylveon are all performing really good. Mewtwo's gone sideways. Leafeon has gone sideways. How's Greninja performed? That'll be a fun one to look at since we talked about Greninja a lot. Greninja's gone sideways. So it's interesting because you've got 3 cards in particular that have gone up in value, the top 3, and all the other ones, it looks like have gone side. Oh, here we go. Scissor went from 20 to 30. That's a 50% gain. Yeah, so it looks like it's on a card by card.
It does kind of go against my thoughts on it. I don't know. I guess.
Well, here's my thing though. I've been following Hidden Fates for the past 2 years prices because I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I want to have a master set of it, and I keep looking at the prices, and so I follow them pretty religiously. And so for me, I was like watching the price of the Charizard and the Umbreon, and I was like, frick, it keeps going up in value. But I still haven't pulled the trigger because all the other cards have been going sideways. So it makes me at least kind of still at a point. But here's the problem, man. I'm going to keep playing the game and I'm going to get burnt because at the end of the day, it's going to go up and I'm still not going to pick it up because I'll be like, it's expensive now. So I need, if I'm going to master set this set, like I need to pull the trigger at this point. You know what I mean? But I mean, I don't know. I love the set. I think it's a 6 set, but that's also, because I think that the stationary artworks, whether you love them or you hate them, it's one that has so many amazing card arts in shiny form that we really only have one shiny set.
Yeah, it could just be the popularity of the Pokemon's going to carry it far enough, whereas Shining Face just doesn't have that. It doesn't have that many popular Pokemon. So.
That's exactly where my mind is. Because if you look at it, what are your quote unquote more popular cards in the set? Ditto, Lapras, Suicune, Charizard. That's it. And they're not hard cards to pull. If they were more scarce, changes the set's identity. But because it's so easy to pull, it's a completely different conversation. Versus,
especially when Champion's Path has more preferable Charizards than that one anyway.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's the exact same art design. It's just one shiny versus one's rainbow. And the rainbow one is way harder to pull. So it's like that just goes once again into the scarcity argument versus you take a look at a set like Paldean Fates. And I mean, dude, it's so annoying. If I look up advanced search on TCG Player, it doesn't pull up Paldean Fates yet for some reason. It's kind of annoying. But if you look up like scarcity, SIRs are not easy to hit in the set. Like you've got the Gardevoir, you've got the Mew, you've got the Charizard. They're not that easy to hit. And then if you take those out of the SIR equation, you've got an Iono, which is popular, Pikachu, Charmander, Charmeleon, Snorlax. You've got the Ditto, you've got a Mimikyu, you've got a Pidgey, you've got a Drifloon, you've got a Mew, like standard shiny that you can get as well. You've got a Raichu. You've got all of the like mythical creatures that people like from Gen 9, like the Chenpao. You've got a Ralts, you've got a Spiritomb, you've got you've got a Luxray, you've got a Lucario, you've got a Shinx, you've got a Scizor. Like you have so many more popular Pokemon. Whereas like Shining Fates was like, let's just take all the Galar region Pokemon, slap them in and throw like 5 ones that aren't from the Galar region. This one has way more characters not from the Galar region. I mean, Kirlia, Riolu, Sableye, Pidgeotto, Jigglypuff, Staryu, Electrode.
Paldean Fates is a banger set, man.
It's a slept on set for sure. I think the reason why it's slept on, and I can say this as someone who slept on the set, like I think it's better now looking back at it, I will admit, is because it's because when you look at the set face value, I wish there was more SIRs. And that's still a criticism I have for the set, but I realize now that like it's still a set that regardless of how many SIRs it has, it's still a solid set because it has a lot of really fun baby shinies to collect. And that's what's going to make it a solid set, is because regardless of whether or not it's these popular characters are SIRs or not, it's still a fun set because people like to collect Gen 1 Pokemon in shiny form. That's just the reality of the situation. And so being able to collect as many in this set, I mean, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. We're just now waiting for the shiny Raikou at this point because we had the shiny Suicune and Shining Fates. We had the shining Entei in this one. So where's the Raikou at this point? We need the shiny Raikou to get the 3 dogs. So
they always do that stuff. They always like leave one shiny, like they leave out one of the dogs or one of the birds, or it's so weird.
Yeah. Jerks. I mean, dude, when they had the, VMAX, and then they made for the Charizard, and then they made the Blastoise and the Venusaur box promos. I was like, really? Like, I mean,
they never made a Venusaur GX. Like they made Venusaur and Snivy. Like they had a Blastoise Charizard, but they never had a Blastoise. It was weird.
That's
Venusaur.
so lame, dude. That's so lame.
I do want to kind of touch on like Pandito's question or his statement about Hidden Fates Umbreon PSA 10 massively undervalued at the moment. Only $200 from the raw is $160. Could be either way, right? I think we talked about that in one of our other lives. Is that the alt arts are kind of doing the same thing right now? I think Eli was thinking about grading one, and it was like, didn't really make sense. And like I've been up to my card shop, and I've been thinking about buying. They have some alt arts. They have the Charizard GX. Like they have cards, and I'm doing the math. I'm like, there's like no margin to be made. So. It could be one or two things. Either PSA 10 is undervalued or the raw is overvalued and it's going to fall. So be careful with that mindset because it could go either way, right? Like that's
why I still ended up grading the card, because in my mind, I said to myself, I feel much more safe holding the 10, knowing that it's going to still have the premium and that it's not like the 10 is going to fall and the raw is going to be more expensive than the 10. Like it doesn't make sense, obviously, for most people from like, an arbitrage play where you're like, I'm going to grade it and make money. That doesn't really make sense. But for me, I'm not grading it because I'm trying to make money. I'm grading it because I'm hedging that if the raw does tank in value, I'll have the 10 and be able to hold that premium, Hey,
by the way, for anyone, this is like going through the whole grading thing. For anyone that always like complains about the cost of, because I always hear people complain about the cost of the PSA membership and stuff. So PSA's revamped the way they do their magazines and things now, and basically they give away free money now. They are always putting out their magazines with like a new like hot anime, whether it be One Piece, Pokemon, Star Wars, and they're putting out serialized copies of their magazines. If you get one of those serialized copies, they're going online for like $100, $200, $300+. Well, recently they sent the One Piece magazine out. And even if you got the base magazine where it isn't worth a ton, maybe you can sell it for $20 on eBay. It came with a promo card. I sold that promo card the day I got it for $150. Wow. That one promo card paid for the PSA membership for the entire year. Now every other magazine, other free thing they send out every month, it's all free money. So
I need to look into that because I've got a couple of them, dude.
Yeah, you're getting paid now to be a member of PSA. So now it's even taking less off what it costs for a submission. So anyone who always complains about, well, the only way you get those bulk deals at $12 or $13, $14 a card is if you're a member. I don't want to pay $100 whatever dollars. Dude, you're literally getting all that money back and then some now with the way they've structured their new magazines and new promos and things. So I strongly recommend anyone who's been like thinking about grading but not like scared to buy the membership. It looks like it's going to pay off. That's all I'm going to say.
That's sick. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, man. You check if you have the magazine, do that One Piece promo cards in there. It's like $150 promo.
Hey, I think I usually would have one more question, but I think we're gonna actually end it here. We've been going for almost 2 hours. And it's already 2:00. So I think that was a good point to end it on. But you got anything else you want to say or anything specific you've got pressing you want to touch on?
Pressing? No, we're good.
Evolving cries suck. No, I'm just kidding.
We're gonna try to make the stream happen next week.
Right. Oh,
either we're gonna try Monday, or I'm gonna try to do it on my road trip. I'll be in the car on Tuesday, so we're gonna have to talk about that. But yeah,
we'll touch more on that at some point next week. But yeah, Alex is taking a little vacay, so we'll have to figure out how we can coordinate having him on stream. But as far as it goes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for stopping by. As always, we do weekly giveaways, or well, we don't. I haven't done that in a while. Dude, you just get into the habit. I'll get back to that when I post videos. As always, it helps the channel if you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. And then if you're interested in joining the wholesale program to get access to Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and so much more, please make sure to check the link down in the description below for that. And then, of course, if you want to be a part of the community, check the Discord link down in the description below, or Alex's link as well is down in the description below. But that is all. Thank you all so much for stopping by. Until then, we will see you all next week. Peace.